Okay, I think we're recording. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited for you to meet our special guest tonight. This is Myla Irwin. Miss Myla. And she is, and Myla, I'm going to have you tell us the name of your business because I don't want to mess it up, but you are a what? Introduce
I'm
yourself.
I'm a pastoral counselor and a advanced Christian life coach, and the name of the business is Higher Level Life Coaching and Soul Care.
And which is what actually drew me to you was seeing that name flash across my Facebook and then reading what you had posted. Very powerful to this day, everything you post, I feel like. But especially at that season in my life, you just kept posting these powerful little things with that name, Higher Level. So I'm super excited that you're here sharing with us today and that the people that I get to serve are going to hear from you the way I glean from you almost daily from your page and everything that you share. But tell us a little bit more about you personally. What brought you to life coaching and pastoral coaching?
Well, one of my children in his mid-20s had sort of a mental breakdown, and I was working for a strong type A personality. And my mother was in one hospital near me, and my son was in a hospital about 90 minutes away, and they would not let him out of the psych ward unless somebody could be with him all the time.
Oh,
And
wow.
although I had 6 weeks paid leave, my boss would not let me take any time off. And I realized as an only child, I would never regret the time that I spent taking care of my mother or my son. So I gave her 3 weeks notice and I left. And
Wow.
I found a program for him. It was a wellness academy run by a local mental health association. And they were teaching recovery. And I thought, well, how on earth do you recover from something like bipolar or schizophrenia? It just, coming from New York, I saw people pushing shopping carts and spitting and hissing and talking to themselves and cursing. And I thought, you don't get over stuff like this.
Wow.
But there was a young man with schizophrenia teaching classes, and people who openly said, I have bipolar, and here's some ways that you can manage your symptoms. And I was totally enthralled. So I asked them if they ever needed me to do anything because I saw my son getting better again, reclaiming his life, writing poetry, doing spoken word.
Wow.
And they said, well, you can work for us part-time and this is what we'll pay you. And I said, I can't work for that. That's insulting. And they said, well, right now you're making nothing. And I said, oh, yeah, there is that. So I went to work for them. And the only requirement was you had to either have a mental health challenge or have had a substance abuse issue. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. You're going to
Wow.
hire me if I admit to having a diagnosis of some sort? And they said, yeah, you have to. And I realized that I had been battling depression for years. But nobody, you lie about those things on job interviews.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so I acknowledged, well, yes, I've had depression for years, and I used to have a drug and alcohol problem. And they said, you're hired. And it just seemed so weird to me. And then they had me go for some training and become a peer support specialist. I don't know if you've heard of that. And a
Yes.
peer support specialist is somebody who has walked the walk and can now talk the talk about recovery.
Yeah.
And we're very careful about the words that we use. You don't have a diagnosis, you have a challenge, a mental health challenge. And there are
Wow.
ways that you can overcome those challenges if you learn your triggers and develop a trigger action plan. And since I saw my son getting better and I saw people coming to these programs every day, making strides in recovery, which, there's a medical model and a recovery model. And this was the recovery model, and I was seeing people take back their lives not being over medicated, advocating for themselves. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I gradually kept getting promoted because I took on more and more. And I just thought, what a wonderful thing. And by the time I went back to school and got my bachelor's and got my master's, by the time I was 60, I realized peer support was so close to life coaching. You are able to share your stories, which most counselors cannot, because there's this I'm up here and you're down here and I'm going to help you in counseling.
Yeah.
But with peer support, there's this level playing field. And if your story will help someone, you can share it. If it won't, you don't, because the attention is on the other person, not you. But I just thought it was such a natural fit. And
Yeah.
so I work mostly with women and couples. I don't work with very many men alone, although I do have a couple that have stayed with me after their marriage has improved or after their relationship is broken up. But I absolutely love it. I just love it. I
And you're
love seeing
good at
people
it.
claim what their lives were before somebody slapped a label on them, and helping them realize that they're not disabled, they're differently abled, and helping
Yes.
them realize that a label does not define you. When people walk up to me and say, "Hi, yeah, I am bipolar," I say, "Well, what does your driver's license say?" And they look at me like I've lost my mind, but it's a great way to remind them, your name is John, your name is Susan, you are not named bipolar. That doesn't make you a bad person or a better person. It's just something that you've got to deal with in life, but you can. You impart hope every day.
That's powerful. We could take that same belief, that same mode, and apply that to overweight or sick with this
Absolutely.
disease, or, yeah,
Absolutely.
that's really powerful, Myla. Okay, so tell us, so you started that way how many years ago? How long ago was that?
In 2010, 10 years ago.
Okay, so a decade now you've been serving like this. What keeps you serving? Obviously, that was your sounds like huge motivation to get started, but what keeps you doing this?
I think the reward that I get out of seeing people who never heard that recovery was possible, who thought I'm going to be medicated and doped up and dragging my feet for the rest of my life, go back to work, volunteer, get degrees, have healthy relationships, um, come out of violent situations. That's my reward. I
Yeah,
think I learn more from my clients than I could ever impart to them. So I'm
yeah.
a little selfish in that regard.
I can totally relate to that. And that's not selfish. That's beautiful. I love it. Mutual blessings. I love it.
Absolutely.
Powerful. So, I it was funny because you and I actually talked about you coming to talk to us weeks ago, and through my situation, we moved this chat, and I could not be more relieved because I feel like we need you right now. People like you, we need you right now. We're in this uncertain, scary, no matter how well we've all processed it to this point, none of us really knows what we're facing as we go into the next few days and weeks with this outbreak that we're all so impacted
Right.
by. I know my son and his girlfriend have lost their jobs because of this.
Yeah.
They worked for the schools here, and it's looking like they won't go back to work until fall. And then there's not like a lot of jobs to get right now. There's just a lot
Right.
of turmoil, and some of us are worried about finances. Some of us, it's impacting our own health. What what would you tell us, first of all, in taking care of ourselves in this time? What would you
Absolutely.
tell a client in this time? And then also be sure and touch on how can we turn that into serving others in the middle of this absolutely chaotic time?
Right. One of the things that, and a lot of my clients have lost their jobs, or now that they've got their children, home health work for them because the house is too crowded. There's no private place to speak. And so sessions for us have kind of gone by the wayside. Even if you lower rates, people just, they need to buy food.
Yeah,
They cannot afford to
toilet
pay for
paper.
sessions. So I think for us as providers of services, we have to make sure that we're getting enough sleep. We have to make sure that we're eating the right kinds of foods to fuel our bodies and our spirits. We have to stay hydrated. We cannot go to places where there's a lot of people, but we certainly can take a walk around the block. We've got to do something that's going to keep our bodies moving so that we don't have time to have pity parties. This is a great time to really develop a support system and check with them on FaceTime or through text, email, however you can do that. You can't afford to be a lone ranger and think, well, I'm sure everybody else is fine. This is just my season to fall apart. We have to stay strong and press in. There's three scriptures that I really love. One is Lamentations 3:23, where
No.
it says that it's a
Is she freezing for anybody else? Yes? Oh no, Myla. I think your signal is weak at the moment. Doggone it, come back. Did she freeze for y'all? She did? Okay. Well,
You know, my internet has been, for the last couple of days, I have had problems with it.
you have Sheila?
Hmm.
Okay. So I just lost her, so I'm sure she's
Yes.
gonna come back in. Yeah, I know it has to do with, I told my husband I was so nervous about this because it has to do with how many people are using it right now too. Everybody's working from home.
That because this, I know they were saying crowd space and some of the others is because of the high volume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How are you doing, Sheila? Good to see you.
I'm doing good.
Are you fibbing to me right now? Are you
I'm sorry.
fibbing? Are you fibbing right
Oh,
now?
I'm doing good because I'm staying away. I mean, all of this has me afraid to be out because, you know, they just told me that my kidneys are failing and that they low.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta stay.
So it's isolating you a little, huh?
Hmm. And it's running me crazy because I'm
Because you're a busy lady.
not getting out among people. I didn't know you could go stir crazy.
Oh no.
I think it's the fact that they said to stay, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and no, you're being smart by listening to them. Some of us are more compromised than others, for sure.
Right.
I'm gonna check and see if she has messaged me or anything.
Okay.
I know she knows she's off of here, so I'm hoping she's just gonna pop back on. But her internet caved, I think. Man, she was giving us some good stuff too. Come on
Yeah.
back, Myla. She's not back, is she? I wonder if her internet's completely gone because she hasn't even messaged me. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys, ladies. Well, what we might do is just reschedule her.
You
I
hear
don't
me?
know if she's able to do that. Oh, she's
She
back.
comes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Is the internet giving you fits?
It is, but I've
Okay.
got my hotspot on my phone going.
Okay. We'll see if that works better. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if I can invite you again. Hold on. What did I do last time? Ask to start video. Okay. I sent you the thing again to ask you to start video.
Okay, there I
There
am.
you are.
Okay.
All right. So where we lost you was Lamentations 3:23.
Where it says that his mercies are new every morning.
New
And so
mercies.
I was saying that even if yesterday was absolutely terrible, you have to shake it off after you've gotten some good sleep and just purpose in your heart that today's a blank slate. And when people ask me, how am I doing? I say, you know what? I'm good. And it's a choice. Or I'm fine. It's a choice. We get to choose our mood, no matter what state you're in. I mean, I battle depression, but I can choose to not let it win. It may get some good jabs in, but I have to choose. But I'm going to beat it today. I'm going to kick its butt. Another verse that I really like is Psalm 46:10, where it says, "Be still and know that I am God." And I used to think
Yes.
that "be still" meant, Myla, just sit still. Don't keep fighting against him. But that "be still" in the Greek means let go. And sometimes we have to stop carrying all the stuff that we're carrying. When a baby is playing with something that's not safe for them, if you just snatch it away, they're going to have a temper tantrum. But a wise mother will distract them with something that's safe for them to carry, and they will let go of all that junk that you don't want them playing with. And so sometimes we just have to let go because God will give us something so much better.
Wow.
And then the other one that I really, really like, of course, is Philippians 4:4, where it says, "Rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say, rejoice." That's a command. We are commanded to rejoice. It's not a suggestion, it's a command. And so we got to stop being whiny brats and learn how to submit and be obedient. And my flesh creeps quite often. I have a problem with submitting. But we have to, if it says rejoice, and again I say, we just have to do it sometimes. And so if you're taking care of yourself with your diet, your exercise, your sleep, you're staying hydrated, you're checking in with friends, an accountability partner, then sometimes you just have to let go, you know?
That's so good. Oh my gosh. I could just sit here and you just keep talking. So that you kind of answered the third question I was going to ask you. What would you suggest for us coaches to do for our own self-care? What about our own growth? Everything you type and share on your page, you spill all this wisdom. How are you gathering that wisdom? What do you do to feed yourself all those jewels that you then spill out and share with us on your Facebook and to your clients and to the people that you serve?
If it serves you, if it blesses you, it's God. If it doesn't bless you, I was in my flesh. And I take full responsibility for that. I spend a lot of time playing worship music and letting it soothe me. And that's another part of my self-care. I can't sing. If we put a tune in a wheelbarrow on a icy hill trying to get it down the hill, I still couldn't carry that tune. Okay, I'm just being totally honest. The shower tiles start falling off when I sing in the shower in the morning. But I love worship music. And
Yes.
so it soothes the savage beast. So when I'm feeling like a beast, I just sit still in the middle of the living room floor and listen to some worship music.
Yeah.
And that really calms me. And sometimes God will speak to me through that. And a lot of the messages that I get are something that I've heard in worship or something that He's just laid on my heart. It definitely is not me.
When you get those messages, do you write them down? How do you do it? Show us as coaches how to do that when we hear something or something comes to us. Should we go write it down?
I blog on my cell phone. I'll do something in my notes app. And then if I can find a picture or a meme or something that goes with it. But I do a lot of stuff in my notes app because my mind is like a colander. Stuff just falls through it and I can't
Yeah.
find it again. So I have to do things on my notes app.
So you
I'm
do.
probably the most transparent person you'll ever meet.
Yes,
So
you are.
there's no shadow of secrecy here.
That's one of the things I love about you. Tell the gals where you come from, because you and I have talked about this, and you come from that New York
I'm
fast
from New
moving.
York.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about where you come from.
If you say it, you think it. You know, there's no filter here. So, and so you either love me or you don't, and I'm good with that. I'm not for everybody.
Yeah. But man, you're for me for sure. And I know that some of the other gals are going to be real blessed with you today. Okay, so what would you say that you have learned from, I was going to say your clients, but that now that you've shared about your son and his journey, your own journey with identifying that yes, you have symptoms, but they don't rule you, but you can definitely work on them and treat them. What have you learned from the people you've served, clients, your son, your mom, over the years that is just a common concern that people struggle with? And what I mean by this is not just a sickness or a symptom.
Right.
I'm talking about a core thing. What do you see over and over and over with people?
Most people are so afraid of being judged. They're so afraid of being found out. You know, everybody carries this secret. And low self-esteem. I'm not good enough. I've got this imposter syndrome. Um, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not this enough. But the thing is that comparison is the thief of joy. When we start comparing ourselves to others, and I'm totally faith-based, what we're saying to God is, you made a mistake because
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be like her. I'm supposed to be
Wow.
like him, and you missed it. I'm not like them, Lord. And so you messed up here. And that's a direct slap in the face to him. So we have to learn to stop comparing. You know, maybe I'm not as tall as this person. Maybe I can't run as fast. Maybe I can't manage money as well. Some of that stuff we can learn if we really want it.
Yeah.
Some of us really enjoy having pity parties. You know, we say that we want stuff, but we don't want to do the work. We just
Yeah.
want it to fall into our laps and come easy. But nothing that comes easy is really worth holding on to.
Wow.
You appreciate the struggle when you get to the other side of it. You know,
Yeah.
stuff has more value when you've
Yeah.
had a little blood, sweat, and tears involved.
Oh
So when
yeah.
I have clients that come to me whining and crying and falling apart, I say, well, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
And then they usually find out, I guess I don't really want that because I'm not doing all that stuff that you're suggesting. Okay, so what are you willing to do? What increments are you willing, what incremental steps are you willing to take?
Yeah. That's so
And
good.
and I was there for years. I thought I wanted all this stuff. I thought that I wanted to go to college when I was 20 and get a degree by the time I was 24 because I made some big mistakes between 18 and 20. And I wasn't. It wasn't until I was in my 50s that I thought it's going to cost me now. But now that I've got some skin in the game, I'm ready. And
Wow.
I so appreciate that I had to pay for it. The people that I met, the teachers that poured into me, it means so much more now because I worked for it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. How do we keep from judging? Because we're human, we slip into
Absolutely.
it. How do we keep from judging the people we serve when they do come to us and they're bringing, most of us as coaches, we're dealing with some heavy duty personal stuff with these people. And I've always felt like this precious burden to protect that sacredness between us. How do you do that with the people that you serve? Remove yourself from it, try not to judge, especially dealing with recovery and
Yeah.
addiction recovery. We're talking serious stuff here that affected other people in their lives in painful
Right.
ways. How do you remove yourself from that and serve them with love?
One of the things that I've learned, and it's been difficult, but I've learned to stop saying, what did you do? And start asking, what happened to you? Because
Wow.
addiction is a disease. And so when we look at people and get frustrated and say, why are you doing this? What is wrong with you? We're judging. But when we say, help me understand what happened to you, where did this come from? Who did something that hurt you so deeply that you don't see any worth or value in yourself?
Wow.
That really brings the person up short because they're so used to being judged. They're so
Yes.
used to being told that you're messing up, you are the problem. Very few people ever stop and say, okay, baby, help me understand what happened. And I call
Yeah.
everybody sugar and baby and honey. And I just love on people,
I
and
love it.
that's why this virus is so difficult because I can't hug them. It's very
Yeah.
difficult. The telehealth thing, I can't put my arms around them and say, I see you, I got you, talk to me. It's a judgment-free zone. Just let it out.
Yep.
But we have to see the person.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about the movie Avatar years ago was that she kept saying, I see you. And I think at their core, everybody wants to be seen.
Yes.
Everybody wants to be seen. Some people are terrified of it. But once you say, look at me, I see you, they're like, wow, you really do. And you're not running. You're not afraid that you're going to catch me, catch
Yeah.
whatever it is I'm carrying. And you're
Yes.
going to help me unpack it. People just let their shoulders drop, they exhale, and you can have some real heart to heart dialogue. And it
I
makes all the difference in the world.
oh, I got to tell you how
Now,
powerful that is.
don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, there's some difficult people,
Oh,
and
sure.
it takes every bit of God in me.
Yeah.
Okay? But you still have to be able to say, I know that somewhere along the line you've been triggered, you've been traumatized. Take me through that with you. I'm not going to judge you. Help me understand. Because people
Wow.
don't do that. They just judge. They just point that finger and
Mhm.
they condemn. And
Yeah.
how do you heal from that if everybody's doing that, if everybody's condemning? How do
Yeah.
you, where do you find acceptance?
Yeah. No, that's very Christ-like. And then to turn around, and I think this is the tricky thing as a coach, to turn around and still serve them with accountability, still
Yeah,
putting accountability on them for their part in the healing, the walking out, the processing, the unpacking. So that's where, woo, we need to do a training on this, you and I, because that's where it gets, where we need strategies with how to work with
yeah,
people, because I think that first place that you talked about is that acceptance and not judging. I just love the way you just explained all that to us. But then there's another step, which is, okay, now we got to get to work. Now
yeah,
we've got this bond and this safe place to work in.
yeah.
So we'll have to come back and do a training on that one of these days, Myla, if you're up to that, because um, I think that's a really powerful need in what we're doing, each of us.
And I think in the helping field, we all need to read Boundaries by Townsend and Cloud because many of us grew up without seeing healthy boundaries modeled for us. And so we kind of make it up as we go along. But
Yes.
when we really understand what healthy boundaries look like, you can be a nice person and still say no. I have a
Yes.
woman that started calling me at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I never had to put a message on my phone that said, these are the hours. If you're in a crisis, call 911. I never had that message on my phone before until I started dealing with her. And so she came to see me recently and she said, I love the way you're setting boundaries with me. I said, well, you need boundaries. You needed to see them. And I'm setting boundaries with you right now by telling you, stop calling me in the middle of the night, But
Yeah.
no, but she said, my friends don't talk to me. I've lost friends. My sister won't talk to me. And I said, well, I will talk to you during business hours,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So we have to model them for people and still let them know I care about you, but not after 9 o'clock at night. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll pray for you after 9 o'clock at night, but don't
Right.
call me.
But I won't be on the phone with you.
Right,
That's
right.
good too. That's very powerful. I know this is such a tricky balance. Love and accept, but then
Yeah.
boundaries and yeah, tricky balance. I'm gonna
And
make a little note.
we have to have digital boundaries. We have to recognize that just because you have a cell phone, just because you've got Twitter and text and all that other stuff, doesn't mean that every time your phone beeps, you've got to go check it. You've got to respond.
Right.
Set a boundary from 9 o'clock at night till 9 o'clock in the morning. Unless somebody's dying or bleeding and they're related to me, I'm not touching that thing. And don't.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good. Well, I'm going to make a little notes sheet of the scriptures you shared with us and that book. You said Henry Cloud, right? The
Townsend and
boundaries.
Cloud, yes, it's
That's
wonderful.
that's
It
amazing.
made a big difference in my life. I thought that if I was a nice girl, especially a nice Christian girl, I should never say no to people because if they brought me a request, surely God had sent them to me. God's not sending all those people.
I used to believe that too.
Yeah,
No, and you learn just from getting fed up. Where,
and
I think
burnt
some of
out.
us that
Yeah,
struggle with boundaries in the beginning, towards the end, we're just, we've been doing this long enough, we just kind of start doing that. But
absolutely.
oh, Myla, you have been such a blessing. I am so thrilled that you agreed to come and speak with us. I just feel like we've just barely started, just even scratching the surface, and I know I'm going to need to have you back. So I hope that you will come back and speak with us again on more of this stuff.
I'd be glad to. I'd be
Dig
very
into
glad
some of
to.
this a little deeper because this is good stuff that's very applicable to us as leaders. What would you leave us with? What would be your final encouragement for us as we face the next few days and weeks of all the unknowns around all the extra stress we're all under? And then as we just continue to move in our purpose, we don't want to lose focus.
Yeah.
Leave us with something good. No
Well,
pressure.
if God has called you to the work that you're doing, He has equipped you and He will prepare you. Um, you get in trouble when you start doing it in your own flesh and trying to do it in your own strength.
Yes.
So when you begin to feel that you're getting burnt out, ask yourself, who's doing this work, me or him?
Wow.
If you're
Wow.
getting really stressed, you're working too hard in your own flesh. And stop and take a step back and say, I need to pause.
Yeah.
He will guide you, he will prepare you, he will equip you. And you
That's good.
need to take some time for self-care. That's the most important thing. Because if you're walking around with a scowl on your face, and if you're picking up the phone and saying, hello, yes, you're not blessing the people that you're serving.
Yeah.
If you are overeating and not sleeping well and you've got bags under your eyes, you're not representing health. So why would somebody want to come to you?
Yeah.
You've got to be able to model the behavior and the attitude that you want your clients to adopt. You've got
Wow.
to be that safe place for them, just like he is for you.
Yes. And it starts there, and then we can just pour out what's
Filters
just
down.
flowing.
Right,
It's flowing.
right.
That is so good. Thank you.
Self-care is really important,
Yes, absolutely. Spiritually, physically, mentally, all of it, right?
always.
Oh, Myla, we're going to have you back. Thank you so much for this today, especially
You're
coming back
welcome.
on after the technical stuff. You are such a blessing. I loved having you today. I know I'm going to have you back. But
Thank
thank
you.
you for sharing with us. And I look forward to those of you who were here live, and then those of you listening to this recording, go connect with her on her page. Tell us your page one more time.
Higher Level Life Coaching on Facebook, and the same as the website.
Website as well. Definitely sign up for any lists she's got going and connect with her because everything she drops on there is life-giving. So I am excited to connect more of you with her. Thank you again. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. You are such a blessing.
you.
Thank you.
God bless you all.
All right, everybody have a great evening. Bye-bye now.
All right. Bye-bye.